Hi there and welcome to Money Talks, where we take a look at the rural economy as it affects you in the ag sector. In this edition, what is a powerful Australian wheat board, the Aussie government, and the Crayfar Farms debate have in common? Watch and learn. The head of Agribusiness for KPMG tells us why we need to get on board the sustainability train if we want to keep our agricultural products on supermarket shelves around the world. And Fonterra's top man celebrates impressive results and insists acreage and production must stay in New Zealand hands. Why Dairy Co-op Chairman Sir Henry van der Heyden says New Zealand can't afford to lose control of its land. All this and much, much more coming up. But first, joining us to tell us more about the markets is ASB rural economist James Shortall. James, great to have you back.
Always good to be here.
Now listen, those markets are going crazy around the world, and apparently it's all about China. Tell me more.
Yeah, China's continues to drive what is happening around the world, but it's been quite interesting the last week. There's been a bit of a change in tack. They are a little bit worried about inflationary pressures, about prices really picking up in the Chinese economy, and the Prime Minister's actually come out and made it quite obvious that he's concerned about these things. He's concerned about speculation in agricultural commodities, maybe even talking about some price controls, and of course just recently they've increased their capital reserve requirement for the banks by 50 basis points. So basically that really means that the bank's going to have less money to lend out there.
And China's talking about restricting the prices on some of their everyday items, and that this could affect us here at home. Explain.
Well, I mean, if the Chinese consumer's buying a dairy item or a meat product or any agricultural product or a food item, then they're going to control those prices. Then that could potentially have an impact on the prices that we're able to receive here and the increases in commodity prices that we've enjoyed. Of course, dairy products have increased a lot. I don't sort of think it's going to have a major effect on us here because prices are at a level now where they are extremely high. But it is something to keep an eye on.
Okay, and I hear that also the Chinese government has increased capital requirements for their banks by 0.5%. What does this mean? What's the fallout?
Well, basically it means that the banks have got to hold more capital in order for each of the loans that they have out in the marketplace. So really, when they increase the capital requirement, then they're choking up a whole lot of money that the banks could have lent elsewhere, and they're saying, well, you've actually got to hold on to this now. And the implications for this are actually quite big because there's been some speculation over the past 24 hours in the marketplace that the Chinese banks are now at a point where they don't have any more money to lend out to the market. So those limits are now starting to have a bit of an impact on the ability for them to lend out. They're not going to be able to lend any more money into the property and the development sector. So that could have some quite far-reaching effects on the Chinese economy because there's been a huge amount of lending that has occurred over the past 18 months.
Talking about far-reaching effects, let's go to Ireland now. They've gone cap in hand to the EU and to the IMF, International Monetary Fund, saying, help, we are going broke, we need your money. What's the latest there?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because Ireland really did not want to do that.
They denied. There's a river called denial. That's Ireland.
That's right. So they have been, really reluctant to go to the EU and ask for a bailout. But the EU has been putting a bit of pressure on Ireland because they're starting to see, bonds and financial markets have been putting a lot of pressure on the Irish in terms of how much it costs them to borrow money. And that's now starting to spread to other parts of the European economy because they are facing similar issues to Ireland, perhaps not quite as severe, but similar issues. So the EU have said, look, we don't want this to spread, we don't want this to get out of control, so we're going to help you out and make sure that this can kind of settle down a little bit. And that's really what has happened with the bailout. And they're going to be pumping some money in. Speculation is it could be up to 85 billion euros. Here
at home, the New Zealand dollar has strengthened slightly. What's going on?
Yeah, well, it's been interesting. We've had the Standard & Poor's come out with the credit rating.
They have. We've been knocked back.
We were initially knocked back, but we have come back a little bit. We're sort of over 77 cents again. So we're looking pretty strong, and I suspect that we've looked into what the effects of this of the S&P release is, and I don't think it's going to have a huge impact. Its initial market reaction was, of course, soft, but we still think it's not going to really change the outlook for the Kiwi dollar. And against the euro and against the pound, we still remain really strong. The euro is actually, we could potentially strengthen a little bit against the euro because of those issues and because of the wider market issues that they're facing.
Okay, let's bring it on home and let's talk lamb. Lamb. Say that after me, James. Come on. Say it for me. Well done. Now listen, the prices are rocketing away on the international market. How much higher are they going to go?
Well, they could potentially go even higher. I mean, this is quite surprising that the level that they are getting to in the UK market. Supply is well back. That international markets just can't get enough product. And of course, just recent releases out of New Zealand indicates that the supply of lambs is going to be much lower this current year because of the storms and other adverse weather conditions. So, the situation is actually quite severe, and I can't see that changing in the near term, so I think it's going to be positive for prices.
We couldn't, of course, finish the program here today without asking, of course, about what's going on in the world of dairy.
Well, yeah, dairy markets continue to remain fairly solid, and I think it's going to be positive. Prices are looking good, and the longer that they remain at these levels, I think really indicates that we could see a strengthening in the payout for the current season. So right now we're forecasting around $6.70 for the milk price, but the longer we see prices at these current levels, the better the chance that we will see an increase from those levels.
James, stand by. We'll come back to you. Thanks, James. Coming up after the break. Ireland admits a humiliating defeat and begs the European Union for a multi-billion-dollar bailout so it doesn't go bust. What's it mean for us? The latest developments in the kiwi fruit killer blight as the government and industry ride to the rescue. But will it be enough? And lamb wars, the battle to buy them up. All this and much, much more after the break. But first, answer this in our Farmers' Facts and Figures quiz. Name the top 4 sustainability supply issues for New Zealand agribusiness. The answer when we come back. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Money Talks. Just before the break, we asked you, name the top 4 sustainability supply issues for New Zealand agribusiness. The answer, water use, packaging and labeling, water pollution, and food safety. At least that's the view of Ian Proudfoot, head of agribusiness for KPMG. He joins us now to tell us that, like it or lump it, sustainability is here to stay. And if we want to sell more of our products around the world, we've got to get on board. Ian, apparently the next revolution is the sustainability revolution. Tell us more.
Well, I think that's definitely likely to be the case. One of the comments and discussions we've been having a lot is actually what is sustainability? And what seems like a really easy question is actually a very difficult question to answer. And the conclusion we've reached is everybody defines sustainability different. So to say the next revolution is a sustainability revolution, in our view, is completely correct. The challenge is what is that going to look like and who's actually going to define what is sustainable in the future?
Very simply, what does sustainability mean to you? For example, let's say about our dairy products.
In broad terms, I think sustainability is the production of food in a way that enables us to meet demand for product now, enables us to meet the demand for product in the future, plus provides a support to the environment and enables the people growing that food to have a sustainable lifestyle to meet the lifestyle requirements they have. So it's, to my mind, the environment is an important component of that, but it's not the only component. Sustainability is much more nowadays as well about having your business model right and having a business model that delivers now and in the future.
James, I got to be honest, I think a lot of farmers watching this program tonight will be saying, oh, heck, it's just another cost, more compliance, more trouble. It's just jargon. What's your take on it?
I mean, I share Ian's views, to be honest. I think sustainability does get lumped in with the environmental piece, and environment has a big part of it. But it's also being part, having a sustainable business that you can make money from, that you can provide for your family, you can provide for your next generation. Being part of a sustainable industry that has good industry prospects, is providing a product that people enjoy and people want. It's all of those factors too, and I think that the market is driving what some of those impacts are. Right now, it's about the environment and how food is produced, but it's also about some of these other factors too. So, there's some of the industry leaders have got to take a step and sort of define what that really means.
And Ian, I was astounded to discover that it's not the scientists that are calling the shots on this. It's actually the guys and gals who run the big retail shops around the world who are calling the shots. How does it work?
So take Marks and Spencer's for an example. Marks and Spencer's in the UK and globally have defined their mission of being the world's greenest and most environmental retailer. So they've got Plan A, and they have Plan A because there is no Plan B. And the positioning they're taking is very much about everything we do is going to be done from a sustainability perspective. So they're basically coming to the farmers here in New Zealand and all around the world and saying, if you want to supply us, this is what you need to do to meet the standards we're defining. Those standards are partly being defined to play well to a consumer sitting in Putney or wherever else in the UK, rather than necessarily being based on what is the best science for New Zealand. We've done a bloody good job with food miles and proving that the arguments there are not necessarily valid, and we need to be using our science in New Zealand to make sure that we're putting pressure on these retailers to maintain standards that are scientifically proven to be sustainable, rather than just being what works well from a marketer's perspective.
And interesting, James, earlier this year in the States, there was a huge controversy, a huge political debate over tainted beef, tainted U.S. beef. And in fact, Walmart, which is, you know, a giant in retail, decided that all of that meat that they took had to undergo special testing for bacteria. Are we going to see more of this?
I think so. I mean, I think the biggest danger, you've got Walmart there, the largest retailer in the world. Putting this into context, you know, they turn over sort of $600 billion. It's say 50 times the size of Fonterra. So they have real presence. So, you know, for us in New Zealand, then we sort of look at consumers and think, well, it might be a bit of a passing fad. It's not really going to take hold. But as soon as you start getting these corporates like the Walmarts, they see an opportunity to get a space in the market by pulling the strings for the consumer for what they really want, and you know, they really have market presence. I think we're going to see more of this. They're going to be imposing measures about supply chain management, sustainability in terms of water, efficiency of production, and all the resources that are used. And it's going to become increasingly important, and they really do have the power. They're going to impose this on the consumer and on the market.
All right, whether